Hello there, I'm Anthony. Camera in a new spot today, I gotta be careful not to hit it. I'm gonna be painting something a little different today. I was thinking about doing this for a little while now. This is a painting I did at Asbury Park in New Jersey, like 10 years ago. There's all these seagulls just hanging around. I was actually there painting this. Seagulls all over the place. Planning to put a seagull in right over here. As soon as I got to the point where everything else was done and I'm ready to paint a seagull, they all flew away. So it's taken this long to actually paint a seagull. And if you're wondering why you can't see my palette, by the way, that one camera just absolutely will not show up. I don't know why. That's one of like 4 tech issues I just had just now, which don't usually happen. They're new always. At least it keeps it interesting. So anyway, I'm going to be painting the seagull right over here, just hanging out. Not a very big part of the painting, but I feel like it was kind of important with this giant breaker here, how like kind of strong it is, you know, being over on the right side. I feel like having the bird over there will really help keep things balanced. Hi, Schmuckleberry. Thanks for the Merry Almost Christmas, buddy. Okay, so I'm going to start out just kind of like putting in some white there for the bird. This is going to be probably a pretty quick stream today. I don't think it's going to be 2 hours to paint this little bird, but I've been wrong before. So, you know, one of the things that I was looking at when I was choosing the reference was exactly how the light looks. You know, what kind of light source there is on the reference versus what you can see on the screen versus you know, the way it was when I was there, because the light source is not really very clear in this picture. Like, you don't have any shadows specifically showing where it is, but I think it was kind of, from what I remember, the sun was sort of coming from this direction and going that way. You can see, you know, it was bright enough to hit the waves over here, and there's some reflections from the sort of foam on the wave there showing up in the water. You can see that over here also. So, you know, I think the light source will be a little bit more clear on the bird than everything else that is there, but that's okay. As long as it doesn't look like they don't go together, it'll be fine. Then the wheel. Yeah. Oh, hi, Brian. Yeah, I guess this is faster than some other times. I mean, I didn't actually start painting yet, but that's coming pretty soon. Yes, today, so here's the fun, you know, tech issues today. I feel like I'm always making excuses for like tech things going wrong because I'm just like disorganized or something, but really it's like I get all ready to go and then there's a new thing that just never happened before. So today, like, my reference picture just absolutely would not show up. So I had to reload my program a couple times, and then my one main camera over here was just not, the picture wasn't showing up. And then my other webcam just still isn't showing up. I don't know why, I didn't change anything. So I had to restart my computer. That kind of helped one thing, but not the others. Anyway. So yeah, I mean, like most of the time when I'm streaming, like I would be painting way faster if not for all that kind of crap happening, like every time. But anyway. Now as far as how big to make this bird over here, I could put him kind of down here. I could put him up a little bit higher. Not actually there anymore, of course, so, you know, I'm just going on what I remember from when I was there, but, you know, as far as where something is in a picture and how big it is, the higher up it goes, the smaller it gets, because the further it's getting kind of towards the horizon line there. That's just how perspective works in general. So I'm thinking, I mean, the bird would fit right here. It'd be a pretty good spot. One thing I'm kind of want to be careful about here is this line right over here. I don't want the bird's head to be like right on that line. It's like a little bit above or a little below, that would be best. I think if I put it up above the line, that'd probably be too high and just might look a little weird. So I'm gonna just, I think, have the bird's head. I think I want to clamp this down over here. Have the bird's head just a little below that. Okay. This is Asbury Park. This is you know, down the shore, New Jersey. So that's where the Stone Pony is, which is a famous kind of hangout for Bruce Springsteen. So I'm just gonna wing it here with this bird. So I'm gonna just start the main shape of the body. And one of those things, it'd be nice if I didn't have to like go back and fix anything going over where it really is supposed to be. Of course, it's already dry underneath, and it's definitely dry. So I might be able to just kind of wipe it off without too much issue, you know, of having to repaint the color of the sand or anything like that. If I do have to do that, it's not that big of a deal, but it'd just be nice if I didn't have to bother with it. You go to a show in Asbury Park? If you did, it wasn't with me. The only trip I took that was something along the lines of that is, I had Richard Kramer. We went, for my landscape class, we went to Wildwood, which is a different beach town in New Jersey. Got all rides and stuff there. But in Asbury Park, I don't know of anybody going there from Tyler for any kind of shows. Yeah, this was a plein air. I was just sitting there, and by the way, while I was sitting there, just minding my own business, painting this nice scene in front of me, I never had this happen before. I just had like these flies eating my legs alive. It's just like, I didn't see like a swarm of them or anything. I don't know if it was just like one or two flies that just were really attacking me or what, but I had like 30 bites on my leg when I got home. So it was some kind of really crappy fly that, you know, just really likes biting me. I don't know if anyone else gets, you know, bitten by them. But there was a restaurant not too far away, and there was a dumpster out in the back, and I guess that's where they came from, and then they smelled me and they're like, hey, that's even better. But it was super annoying. I mean, it just went on and on. I was with 3 other people. I don't know if any of them got bit at all, but they were enjoying me. Just fill this in now. This brush is a little on the soft side for what I'm doing, but it's fine. Like, it's not 100% ideal for this part, but it'll be convenient for some of the other more detailed parts. Actually got the reference for this a long time ago also, and it's like I had a few other pictures to kind of pick from, and sort of surprised looking at it. A lot of the, like this one seagull, there's like this one little red spot on the bottom part of the beak I don't really remember seeing before, so I don't know if this is the type of bird that doesn't live around, you know, New Jersey or not, but he is for this painting anyway. I mean, they look pretty much the same as some of the other ones that are out there. I've heard some people say, you know, you're not really supposed to call them seagulls because they're just gulls, but, you know, you always see them at the sea, so kind of fits. I mean, sometimes I'll see them hanging out on top of a mall or something. I guess there's just a whole bunch of water that collects on the top since it's flat, but they're obviously much more known for being around the water in the ocean. This is a board. This is Ampersand's gesso board, which is a nice surface. I've been getting some Artifacts boards recently, and I really like them. They're on aluminum. It's aluminum composite. But this one is hardboard, so not cardboard, but hardboard with an H. So it's like masonite, if you know what that is. Same thing. This guy's a little skinny. I gotta give him some more on the bottom. Yeah, it's just brown. If you know what hardboard is, it's, you know, like super compressed cardboard, basically. It's very, you know, like it's hard, you know, like, you know, it's not corrugated or anything. I do know a couple people that paint on corrugated cardboard, which is a little bit odd for me, but they like it. Not sure how archival that is. I kind of don't think it is, but it is at least pretty sturdy in the short term. So this is going to be in shadow on the bottom here. I kind of almost want to do a little gray down there. I don't know. Yeah, this is very archival, this board I'm working on. I mean, the aluminum that I was talking about from Artifacts, that's like the most archival thing because it doesn't even get affected. Like you could just get wet and it won't warp or anything. Whereas this, you would have a problem with that. Of course, you shouldn't be getting your paintings wet. Don't give your painting a bath, but I think I'm gonna get some black for that bottom part there for the shadow. So this is probably a good time for it. So, I mean, really, any rigid support, meaning any hard surface you're working on, is better than stretched canvas, which a lot of people still use, because that's very exposed to just the air and moisture. You can paint on canvas and mount it, or mount it first and paint on it, which is, you know, fine, as long as it's not just kind of open on the one side. There's nothing there to kind of hold it in place. But that's the one most important thing if you want your paintings to last a long time, is use a rigid support, whatever it is. I mean, there's MDF and there's all kinds of different things. Some are better than others. Like if you're just painting on wood, you know, it can warp if it's not, you know, sort of processed a certain way or whatever. I am not archival. One day I am gonna be exposed to moisture and I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe my skin will get wrinkly, but it's not gonna be pretty. What is that? Is that like a little kid dressed as Spider-Man, or is he wearing a plaid shirt? Schmelkelberry, how many emotes do you have? I'm guessing it's like around in the 500s somewhere. Okay, this little belly area here, it's not extremely dark. Let me see how this goes. I remember hearing years ago, they're really having a problem in the UK with the gulls hanging around, where there's like outdoor places for people to sit by the restaurants, and it was like the birds kept on swooping down and like stealing the people's food. And it was so bad that when they were seating people, they would give them a fly swatter. So I don't know if they've gotten that under control, but apparently it was a real issue. Okay, so now here's a new thing that's happening. So the value of this gray and this sand right here are really close together, which sucks. So I'm gonna put a shadow someplace on the sand from the bird. Maybe I might kind of cover that up on the bottom so it'd be dark enough that you can see the edge of the bird better. But right now it's sort of just blending in with the sand, which is not what I want. So I don't know how much darker I want to really go. Probably not much more than that, especially with the sand down here, because it's going to reflect the light. But for now, just leave it. And I think I've got this, you know, gray I'm using now. I'll just throw the wing in there too in a minute. AC, thank you. Is this your first time seeing me painting? I was saying before, I started this painting many years ago and been meaning to do this for a long time, so finally throwing this bird in here. But the original, the main part that's done already was painted on site at the beach. Get a darker gray for the wing. Wing looks a little bit weird. It almost looks like two wings the way it's sort of, the feathers are tucked in, but that's how it looks. So that's how I'll paint it. Okay, well, thanks for stopping by. This is gonna be kind of quick. I mean, I typically will stream for like 2 hours, but I don't know. We'll see how long this one takes. Maybe might only need an hour for it. I don't know. See, it really gives me some trouble. It's a little extra dark right there over this part. It would really suck if after all this time I painted the seagull and it was terrible. I mean, it was like 10 years ago I made this painting to start out with. So I'm looking at the value over here. It's going to be a lot better on the back. Getting the contrast of the feathers on the sort of the back and the wing compared to the sand, that looks like it's fine. I definitely have to do something about the contrast underneath. I could just leave out the feet so it looks like he's just sitting there. Like the birds will do that sometimes. Just like cats, like their legs just disappear. But I'll give him those little stick legs. You see, are you a painter or an artist also? I can't see the light sort of hitting the wing right here. I'll just use that other gray. See how this shows up. Need a little bit more white. Oh, okay. Just gonna do this bird here. So Brian, who is also watching, went to school with me, and we had a teacher named Richard Kramer, and I like to do these bird paintings where there's these sort of stylized birds. We have a few different voices for him, that none of which sounded like him at all. But anyway, yeah. I hope Kramer would be happy with my bird here. So you see, what do you like to paint? And are you into oils or other stuff? I pretty much just use oils at this point, but I've used other mediums before. And this is starting to look a little more like a bird now. Kind of getting there. There's a bird catching some rays. So the wing is a little bit light right now. I'll darken it some more. Oh, you're not a painter. Okay. Oh, thanks. Yeah. You know, it's never too late to ruin things. We'll see how it goes, but I guess it's all right so far. There's a lot of very small detail in the eye and the beak in there, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet, because that's pretty small. I mean, I guess I could just get really kind of nuts with it, but I don't really put all that stuff in there, but we'll see. Okay, you're a fan. Well, that's nice. Guess that is about right for the value there. Which, in case you don't know, means how dark it is. Trying to keep an eye on making sure this bird fits in here since I'm using it from a photo. Everything needs to be consistent enough that it looks like it belongs where it is. I think it's really interesting when you look at birds, how you can really tell that they're evolved from reptiles if you really look at the eyes and the feet, because they really look like lizard eyes and feet. You know, I had lizards for pets when I was little, so I really know what they look like up close, but you know, you don't really think of them as being in that category at all. But a long time ago, I mean, supposedly a long time ago, we were like these giant guinea pig things. So people don't tend to think about that either. It's actually a really interesting theory that Michio Kaku has about why so many people are afraid of spiders and centipedes, because you know, back in the prehistoric days, you know, those things were gigantic because there was more air in the atmosphere, so they were able to just get enough oxygen to get really large as they breathe through their exoskeleton. So anyway, he has a theory that basically we're afraid of those things because there's this extremely old instinctual fear from the fact that they could actually kill us back then because they were so giant. Which I think is probably true. Because if you think about it, you know, some spiders are poisonous, but most of them are totally safe, and people just lose their minds when they see one. I mean, I'm not one of them. But interesting how certain things just sort of start out at some point, and then they just hang around even though they're no longer even slightly relevant. As I'm doing this, I'm trying to make sure I get everything in the right place, because kind of threw the shape in there as a layout, but I didn't really lay out everything. Oh, hey there, Hickenmeister. Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing in books that there were some flying dinosaurs that had, I guess, the very beginning of, you know, feathers and stuff. So I don't know if I guess those were the first birds. They were kind of like still half lizard. One of the coolest pets I ever had. I had a lot of pets when I was growing up, but one of my favorites was an anole, which some people call a chameleon, but it's actually a different kind of lizard. He's just this cool little guy. I named him Sleepy because he was so chill that you could like put him on your hand and he would just fall asleep. Like he was on a heat rock or something. Like every once in a while he would slurp my hand, just like. Oh, nice tentacle. Yeah. I mean, I guess that sort of looks reptilian. Okay, so I just darken this underside of the tail a little bit more here, so it stands out in that spot. There's all this stuff that washed up here. I don't remember if it was like mussels or seaweed or whatever, but I guess it makes sense that he'd be here because maybe he's, you know, picking at that stuff, saying, "Hey, let me see if there's anything tasty over here." I didn't really think about that, but this is where I really planned on putting the bird, kind of all along. Oh, the lizard, well, we gave him mealyworms, or mealworms, whatever, which I didn't realize for a long time, but it's actually like a larval form of a black beetle. Because then we just got these beetles that would show up at some point, and we're like, where do these beetles come from? But eventually I figured it out. It was like, oh, these are just like the young version of the beetles. So, you know, that was pretty much what they ate. I had other things that were like lizards that ate crickets. So I think this guy was a little bit small for a cricket. probably could eat them too, though. Ryan, I am not saying that. But I'm sure this bird would eat a hot dog if you threw one at him. Yes, Richard Kramer was one of our favorite teachers. Definitely a cool guy. Really not sure what's going on with the shape of the wing here. You know what? Sometimes the feathers kind of like the wing will go one way and the feathers sort of go on top in one spot, because wouldn't really expect this shape the way it is, but I guess it's okay. You know, I probably could give this a little bit darker down here. So like, okay, if I'm going to be putting like a shadow on the sand over here, I don't want to actually go too dark with this part where you can see the, you know, the gray of the feathers, because then they're going to be competing. The whole thing is they need enough contrast here to be able to see what's going on. So I was going to add a little more dark here, but I think I'm going to leave that just because once I add the shadow, and that could kind of just be enough on its own. So I'm going to give a little shadow right over here under the chin. If birds have chins, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's on the beak more. Under the neck, whatever. A little bit dark. You guys want me to just bring the camera in closer? I mean, I guess you don't have to see the whole painting. I'm not going to bring it in closer. So let me just move this. Okay, maybe that's better. I'm using, well, normally I have two Logi C920s, one of which is just not working right now for some reason. I think it's probably working, it's just not getting recognized. And then I'm using an iPhone actually for the main shot. I have a couple iPhones I bought specifically, or older ones, just to use for this kind of stuff. I don't, you know, really talk on them because the camera is just so good in them. It's like better than a lot of webcams anyway. So you can get a used one for like 70 or 80 bucks. And if you get a really good webcam, it's going to be probably more than that, you know, new. Hey, Steven. Wow, actually got recommended? Must be doing something right, I guess. Thanks for subbing. So, this painting I'm working on, I started years ago. I've been planning to add a bird in here over on the left for a long time. And so, once I do this, the painting is done. So, I think I want to actually bring part over here out some more. Trying to keep the light consistent here with how everything, you know, the light and the shadow looks compared to the scene. So, looking at the wing here, I don't know. Maybe I don't really need to do too much more to the wing. I don't want to overdo it, so I guess I'll leave it for right now. And a little bit of detail on the face, that's like really small. Let me see if I can just throw that in there. It's a little kind of, sort of like an eyebrow. No, that's way too dark. Like an eyebrow ridge above and sort of to the side of the eye. Definitely a little dark still. You see. And I'm going to do the eye right around here, which is super tiny. I think it's going to be too small to do too much detail there. Thinking that, you know, this bump right over here is kind of coming out a little bit too much, so thinking maybe I might want to bring the head up actually a little bit more. Just looking at this sort of the shape of the kind of the throat, how it curves up. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So before I do any beak or anything, I really make sure I get the shape and get the head right where it's supposed to be. Steven, are you an artist also, or are you just a fan? That's too dark. I need some more white. Normally I have my camera, one camera showing my palette, but not today. Not like there's anything all that fancy going on. It's just black and white right now. Oh, you're bright, 874. Yeah, I'm actually not on Discord, but, you know, thanks for offering. You know, some, well, a lot of people on Kick and Twitch are on Discord also. Ivor's Dock, a popular restaurant, fish restaurant in Seattle. So Brian says there's a sign that says you may feed the seagulls. They are dainty eaters. Well, I think that's a little different than the ones in the UK that are dive bombing people for their fries. So I guess it sounds like they're a little more polite. Probably good for them and the humans. I think I'm gonna scratch off a little bit of gray here because I don't need it. Okay, acrylics mostly, but you're getting back to oils at some point. Okay, yeah, I have used acrylics many years ago, but definitely like oils better. I feel like I have a lot more control with it. Sometimes there's things I want to dry fast, and there's other things I want to dry slow, but just the speed of acrylics in general for me is like just more than I want, faster than I want for whatever I'm doing. At least for most things. There are some cases where it would be convenient. Okay, bringing the head up a little bit more here. Trash turkeys. That's pretty good. I remember hearing Benjamin Franklin wanted to make our national bird the turkey, as in like the real turkey, not the seagulls. Kind of funny if seagulls were our national bird. But yeah, that got voted down, obviously. It'd be weird if we were eating our national bird every year. I mean, I'm vegan, so I don't, but you know, most people. Is Ohio considered New England? Well, it's the northeastern, very northeastern part of the country, I guess. Okay, I think the head is in a better spot now, and I'm gonna give it just a little bit more white up on the top here in this one spot. I want to move up that little shadow I made next to the eye also. You know what, Brian? As I mentioned, like pretty much every time I do this, I'm into Stephen King. So, you know, I hear a lot of his books are, you know, set in Maine, or there's Maine characters with their little things that they say. I only ever heard the Maine accent, like really strong Mainer accent in person one time. I don't know if did I talk about this on the stream before? I don't remember. I was up in Rhode Island and I was getting gas, and it was like, in New Jersey we don't pump our own gas because it's illegal. I think I gotta fix the shape of the back of the neck here. Just bring that out some more. So I was like, you know, not sure what to do, and I've done it before, but like hadn't done it for a while. So I was asking the guy next to me, I was like, you know, what am I supposed to do? Like, do I pay first or whatever? And the guy goes, oh, you got to go inside there and you pay the man first, and then you come back out and he'll turn on the pump for you. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was, you know, that was surprising. I was like, okay, so that's what they sound like. All right. The neck is a little bit, like, it's coming more to the left on this side as it comes down. So I gotta just bring it out some more. This little space here between the wing and the neck is too big anyway. Oh, okay. Now you're in Ohio. Well, that's nice. I give that little shadow underneath the throat again here now. I just saw today, for anyone that knows, there's an artist named Ellen Star Lion who's very good. I think she's in Ohio, but she's moving to New York State. So in Ohio news, I think, unless there's somebody else maybe that was talking about Ohio things recently. All right, and there's a little more of this white coming out towards the beak. Put that in there. It's a little thick. That might be a little bit too high, actually. You have to bring it down some more, which is naturally what you do when something's too high. Oh, maybe Mitch is what I'm thinking about. Ohio. I don't really know much about Ohio. Okay, I think I might be able to move on to a different color now. Or a different thing, either the beak or the eye, or the little scrawny legs. I mean, those legs are like toothpicks. No offense to the bird. All right, I'm gonna do the bird's beak. So now here's another kind of thing I gotta be careful about, because the beak color is really not that different than the sand color. So, well, kind of a mustard color. All right, well, we'll just throw it on there and see what happens. I think maybe a yellow ochre will get pretty close. Thinking for the legs, I might use a cadmium red, maybe maroon. Just add a bunch of white in there because it gets kind of chalky looking. Just desaturated the way that the legs look. I need to go a little bit more yellow, so I have a little cadmium over here, just laying around. A little too orange, but let me put it together with the ochre here. Well, all right, I think I'm going to need a slightly more kind of primary yellow. I'll get some cadmium yellow pale. Guess I'm not finishing him in an hour, but it's going along pretty good. Almost there. This is one of those cases where, to make the beak stand out against the background, you need to do something, even if I have to change the color a little bit or value or something. You have to be able to see what's there, so there's that little kind of red spot on the bottom. I don't know if I really want to paint that or not. Okay, I think I can definitely go a lot lighter than that, actually. Just gonna get some of the yellow on its own. It's kind of starting to look like a duck a little bit right now. Actually, I'm just noticing the tip of the beak has just a little bit of white, like a light gray on it, actually. I'd have to change the background around the beak just to get it to show up enough, because this is only so much I could really do here. Get the beak to stand out without doing that. No, I think that might be a little too long. Yep. I have to bring it back some more. Steven, what's your channel? Like, what kind of stuff do you have on your channel? I'm just going to shrink this beak a little bit more, giving the bird a beak job. Anybody watch any good holiday movies lately? Just watched The Holdovers, which was really good. Not a typical, like, happy, super fun holiday movie, but it was really good. Brian, I think you would like it. It got some serious issues and stuff that it deals with. The acting was great, and the directing and everything. That was a movie that got some attention at the Academy Awards, I guess, last time or whenever it was, which actually turned out to be a good movie. I feel like most of the time when that happens, like, the movie probably gets more attention than it deserves, but this one was actually good. I'm gonna add a little shadow on the beak, kind of in the middle. Was Eyes Wide Shut a Christmas movie? I don't really remember that, but could be, sure. Bird has this look, kind of, almost like he's smiling, but then it kind of curves to a frown at the end. I guess I will put that little red part on the bottom. Some bird expert might see it and get bothered if I don't. You know, I was thinking that was like red, which is part of the bird's beak, but it could just be some ketchup from a fry. And hard to tell from the photo. Maybe the little birdie likes some French fries. Maybe with some mayo. Well, guess it needs a little more red. All right, I think I'm gonna have to go around the sand for that area around the beak there. It's the only way it's gonna really actually stand out enough. So, do that later. And the bird's eye. I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna go for it. He's got like this kind of like reddish area around the eye, then the eye's yellow, then there's the pupil. I don't know. It's getting pretty tiny. I kind of think I should maybe get my liner brush out for this, but it's almost the same size, so I don't know if it would really make much of a difference. Looks kind of evil now. Like zombie bird. No one has any holiday movies aside from Brian's Eyes Wide Shut? Is nobody watching movies? Could be something somebody could talk about. I heard a DJ talking the other day about how she just watched Scrooged for the first time in a long time, and she noticed that the Ghost of Christmas Past was the singer of the New York Dolls. So that's interesting. The bird has a pale yellow eye, something like that. I think that'll work. You know, I think I'm gonna get the liner, even though it's almost the same size as this brush. This is so tiny, it's like ridiculous. There's one version of Christmas Carol that used to creep Brian out. Was this like an old version from back when black and white days, or a newer one that was supposed to be creepy? I mean, I guess it was always kind of creepy. It's like, you know, it's the most wonderful time of the year, like in that song. I think that's the one where they talk about how there would be like, you know, ghost stories. So like people used to tell ghost stories around Christmas time, which they definitely don't do very much anymore. So never really thought about it, but I guess that kind of goes together with Christmas Carol. Cat fur. Yeah. I'm giving this bird a lot more detail than anything else in the picture. So that can be sometimes not always the greatest thing if, you know, it doesn't look like he goes with everything else, but it's kind of a focal point, so I think it's all right. And he's in the foreground. I feel like it's probably fine. (1938) version. Oh, it's old. Okay, here comes the pupil. I guess the eye actually looks like it came out okay. He looks like he's fry ready. So I'm going to move on to the feet. Well, actually, okay, first, there is a little spot next to the eye where there's a shadow I can add in there. You know, actually, I'm not going to mess with it. There's just a lot going on in that little spot, so I'm going to just leave it. Okay, so there's that weird color for the legs. It's almost like a reddish brown. And maybe instead of cadmium, I'm going to actually... Well, there's a few different colors I could use, but I feel like this one would be good. My iron violet. With a lot of white. So this iron violet is a little bit cold. Add some red to it. But it's not too far off. Actually, it's a little bit too kind of purple. It's sort of a weird color. It's just kind of in the middle of nowhere. I guess that's not too bad. Looks a little bit more beige now, just next to the sand, but something like that. There's a little cast shadow on this one back leg. And then the other one is more in the light. Kind of funny how they have webbed feet. They can paddle along in the water. I guess you don't really see them sitting on the water very much, just kind of floating, but you know, ducks and geese have this too, but it's like a creature that started out as a lizard, turned into a bird, and then also has something for like the water. And they're really, they got it, kind of everything happening all at once. That looks like some really terrible stick figure legs right now, but getting there. Again, I'm going to have this kind of thing with like the value and the contrast, but putting everything in there and then figure it out once I have the shape. I could just go darker than this for the shadow instead of lighter. I'm gonna do a little of both. I've also got to figure out exactly where the shadow goes on the sand. So I don't think it's going to be really, well, at least not on the feet, not around the feet. like the detail is getting a little bit too much. So I'm going to try to simplify this a little bit more. The bird still kind of goes with everything else in the picture, which is not detailed. Not as much. Here's the little cast shadow on this leg. So I could bring it closer still with the stuff I'm doing now. Okay, so bird's getting pretty far along here. Just a little bit of a white area here where the light's hitting it on the leg. I'm going to just throw that in there. And I think I can do the sand now. So that kind of looks like maybe it was some raw umber, raw sienna. Yeah. Actually, that's a little bit orange. Might have just been the yellow ochre. Let me try that. First I want to get the same color that I have there already before I get a darker version for the shadow. Or at least I can get a very similar close, color for the area around the beak. That's just a little bit darker. Okay, so that is still too orange. So let's see if I add some burnt umber. Pretty sure that was what I used for the whatever the debris is. All washed up there. Just burnt umber. So I'm thinking I probably used a little bit of that together with yellow ochre for the other color next to it. I guess that's about right. So just do that part to help show the beak a little bit better. And you can kind of see it, but it's just not really standing out as much as I want. Especially for something that's kind of important. The trick with this is to just outline the beak, but not make it really obvious. Okay, I think that is working pretty well there. Gotta be careful to make sure the color matches. It's like a little bit too orange, so I added some gray in there. Pull it down. And just do the underneath part here. Then kind of work backwards. All right, I think that working right there. So now I'll just do that shadow underneath. So of course, I'm gonna have to just kind of guess what the actual shadow should be, you know, what shape it should be, because I don't have anything like that since the bird in the reference is standing on a crap covered buoy or whatever that is. Can't see the shadow. Probably not a buoy, it's just one of those parts of a dock. All right, so I'm going to mix up a little bit more this color with, I need something darker than the actual color of the sand, so kind of put this all together here and see what I get. Oh, thanks, Schmuckleberry. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with how it's coming out. This color here is a little too orange, so I'm gonna add some black with the white in there, also known as gray, but it's just kind of cooling it down. I think that was a little bit too much. So then this shadow here underneath the bird, it's gonna be the cast shadow, I think. That's probably gonna be it. And I will say, it's finally done. I guess this, so far, maybe the longest amount of time it's taken me for me to actually finish a painting. About 10 years or whatever. Might actually be longer, I don't know. Okay, I don't know if it should be darker than that. Maybe a little bit. Maybe it's all right. I don't know. I'm thinking about whether or not I should add a little blue to the shadow, since the sky would be coloring it if this was real. So, I don't know. Maybe it's fine the way it is. Or I could just add some more black. Whatever the angle is on the one side, that's what it should be for the other, as far as where the left edge and the right edge hit the ground. I think it maybe should be a little bit darker. I'm gonna add a bit more gray in there to also cool it down. Seems pretty good. Yeah, 2 hours, one bird. It's like 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. It's kind of different. It's actually completely different. But yeah, I guess that's a pretty good amount of time to do this. Yeah, or he's bouncing. Now there really should be a little shadow going to each leg from the bigger shadow up here. I don't know exactly. Well, I guess they'd be a little to the left since the light is coming slightly from the right. What's the 10 minutes? 10 minutes more, you think? I think I'm almost there now, but you do have to do these little shadows on the left, so that could take any amount of time, more than 10 minutes, who knows. Minutes total. Not for this bird. Okay, so I like the shadow now. Of course, the only problem is now that I've done the shadow, this leg, and, you know, the lighter part of that one, but really just this one is disappearing in there. So there's actually more light hitting it in the reference. I guess I'll just throw some white in there. This is just what happens as you're painting. Everything just changes constantly. So let's see what happens if I put some white on the leg to make it stand out more. That's working pretty good. It's just, I don't want it to look like I just threw some white on there. I gotta kind of mix the color in a little bit more. Oh, thanks, Stephen. It's I've been working on this one particular painting, not this one, another one of a couple on a glacier for a long time now. I was going to do that one tonight, but then I was looking at it and I was like, there's really nothing good for me to do for the stream, so I just decided a few hours ago, I'll just work on this one. So now that I made that leg lighter, this other one over here, I'm going to add a little bit of light there also, because it's got a match. So I'm keeping the right, there's like a little bit of the dark color still on the right side just to sort of outline it. Because if I go over that, then it's probably going to just disappear into the sand, so that tiny little sliver there is keeping that leg from just kind of no longer being distinct. Right, well, I think that might be it. Looking around to see if there's anything I forgot. I mean, you know, he ate the French fries already, so we know we don't need to put that in there. as evidenced by the ketchup on the beak. Yeah, I think that's maybe it. So, back it up so you can see the whole thing for anyone that didn't see it earlier on. So here is, again, Asbury Park, beach in New Jersey. This is really stuck on here. Okay. I'm try to not get my cord in the paint. All right, so here's the whole painting. Little bird friend here just hanging out next to the breaker. Here's detail on all the little rocks that are over there. I really like painting. There's moss growing on there, which is pretty cool. And then it was kind of windy, so the wind was blowing the foam. You know, as it was running into the rocks and just kind of shooting up in the air. It's kind of blowing away to the left. So, and then here's all this stuff that no one really needs to look at all that close. Okay, so there you have it. So let me just stick this back over here. I'm not going to be streaming next week because I've got things to do and I don't know if anyone would bother watching even if I was. So I'm going to be skipping next week. And I'm not sure when the next time I'm going to be streaming will be. It may not be for a little while, or possibly a long while. So, you know, anybody that's interested in getting on my list for getting updates as far as when I'm going to be streaming. Normally, I've been sending them out once a week, but probably going to be changing that a little bit. So, anyway, everybody have a nice holiday and New Year. And whatever you're doing, have fun. And if you want to stop by at some point again, whenever that'll be, I don't even know when, it'd be nice to see you. Okay, so till next time, bye.